Where is Battersea? Can you answer that question? Where is the heart of Battersea? Where would you locate it? That's the question that was presented at Dimson Lodge by Camilla Ween, an architect who wants to look at a living streets project in Battersea. I heard her at Dimson Lodge, which is just round the corner from us, and we listened, I think, spellbound to a presentation of how the Battersea streetscape can change and develop. And I think I wanted to share that, so I've made this video just to maybe share it with people who wouldn't necessarily be able to go to those kind of meetings. So here we go. Battersea, she was telling us, has a little sense of its own identity, a little sense of neighbourhood. It centres at Clapham Junction, or is it? But does it have a heart? Clapham Junction is not in Clapham. Maybe it should have been called Battersea Junction. The urban realm, she was saying, is primarily focused on catering for high levels of through traffic at the expense of local people. So you've got three major east-west trunk roads cutting through Battersea and fragmenting it into 3 or 4 different spaces. So Camilla was suggesting that we create a route running from St Mary's Church, that's the top of the Green Line, all the way down to the south end of Northcote Road, more or less a straight line. And it includes High Street, Battersea High Street, it includes Falcon Road, and it includes all the way down through the precinct down to Northcote Road, more or less a straight line. And it creates a sense of a spine in Battersea she was talking about. So it's also an area where there's an awful lot of poor streetscape. There's drab buildings, there's narrow pavements, there's an awful lot of traffic, there's dirt, there's pollution around, and it's not a pleasant place at times to be. Now, most of this route is actually the route of the old Falcon Brook, and it's something that's been lost. The red line shows you where that brook flowed into the Thames at St Mary's Church. But now it's been culverted, put into pipes that actually take it away now to the west to enter the river a little bit earlier. So we've lost some sense of our roots since that disappeared. So this project aims to reconnect Falcon Brook to the history of Battersea and celebrate its relationship with the Thames. It aims to promote a much more relaxed style of urban living, to improve recycling, make safer cycleways, and green and clean, and make more attractive this route, which she, I think, is saying is really the heart of Battersea. So the key features are here. On the right, you'll see the map with indications of where there are probably better crossings, fountains, water features, and so on. But the key features are listed there. Green the entire route, continuous tree planting that ties all the streets together. So you recognise that this is one unit of travel, a route. Improve the lighting, make it similar all the way up and down that route. Make crossings where it has to cross these bigger roads, make those crossings a lot more pedestrian friendly and a little less scary for those who are walking across them. So also to encourage street life so that you're not just rushing from A to B, but you can actually linger, you can stop and dwell and talk and so on. Tying in with all of this is improving recycling, especially the use of water, and tie in that use of water and getting rid of plastic bottles by emphasising this old route of the Falcon Brook. So here's a picture of Battersea High Street. Right now what you're looking at is where the market is at present on Saturdays. What Camilla is suggesting is that that market is pushed further down the high street so that this opening area is much more attractive for people to cross from Falcon Road into this area. So you'd have this welcoming part followed by the market, and then at the end there's a triangle of space which she is proposing that this becomes a pocket park, a green space, a place where people can stop, where the kids can play, where you can rest, and maybe just have a bit more social time. So that's her suggestion for that part. Now, if we swing around or step back and look at the top of Falcon Road, this is the same view of High Street, but you can see that the pedestrian pathways are much more highlighted, much stronger, and much more, I think, intimidating to traffic that's going east-west, making it easier for people to connect together across what is the heart of Battersea. Falcon Road, and this is a picture of Falcon Road, I think in 1909, it's drab, it's dirty. Where you've got the pavements on the shop side, they're very narrow. Where there aren't any shops on Falcon Road, on the other side of the road, there's a huge big wide pavement in parts. So the scope there to widen the pavement on the shop side and put in some better separation of traffic and people so that the whole thing becomes a lot more pleasant for people, safer for people as well. So this is something of what they're thinking about. You'll notice that the pavement on the right-hand side is actually wider so that cafe life can develop. There's a much more clearly demarked crossing point. There is a separation of traffic left and right by planting down the middle of the road. And over to the left, there's a two-way cycle path so that we're not being chased around a lot by bicycles and they can be safely up and down Falcon Road. So that's a proposal that she's made. Now, the other way, as you're looking the other way, you'd see that tunnel under the railway bridge, which is a bit of an eyesore and it's dirty. Now, her proposal for this, one of the proposals anyway, is this, where you can see that there's not awful lot more light, a lot more pleasant space there, and an ability to actually enjoy that walk through with a bit of artwork and increased and improved lighting. The other thing is that with proper crossings and separation of traffic on left and right, it will stop the overtaking of these buses on the left, which have caused some very near fatal accidents in the past few years. So that's one thing. Now, she's not too confident about that because she's not sure that Network Rail, who manage these bridges, would actually be okay with that kind of design. One other option that's been in the air is slightly different. If you look to the right of the picture, you'll see there's an arch under the railway bridge, which looks like it's some kind of restaurant in the artist's mind. One of the options is to take the pedestrians off that bridge altogether and push through a walkway underneath the bridge going back up towards the station. So something like that. That's somewhere else, but you can see the idea to create some kind of space, a straight, safe, well-lit space where people can walk through up to Clapham Junction and the shops. So here's the junction with Falcon Road and Arding and Hobbs, and you can see a little bit more planting, a little bit more of the water features, a little bit more emphasis on the pedestrian crossings, and this becomes a more pleasant spot altogether. And finally, just one or two small improvements all the way along. Camilla was talking about pocket parks, but even these areas, this is Patrick's Passage connecting Home Road with Winders Road, and it can be improved with very little expense. So that's the cunning plan for the spine of Battersea. And in terms of funding and things like that, we were told that groups like this, Transport for London, Lottery Community, Infrastructure Levy, all of these are possibilities, plus some of the more business funding that can go on as well. What seems to be needed next is to establish a steering group consisting of the local council, Battersea, Living Streets, the Battersea Society, local businesses and ourselves as residents to actually look at this a little bit more closely and see what is possible. What I like about it is that this can become a template, so you can make these plans all the way along that route, and then when the money becomes available you can do it bit by bit, so that there is a unity between what happens up at St Mary's Church with what might be happening further down Falcon Road, so that there's that sense of unity about that. So we can do it bit by bit. There are some big expenses involved and they will need funding, but I think it's a great thing for us to talk about because it will improve the quality of our lives in Battersea, certainly West Battersea, and will really help us to become a community that we need to become. So thanks for listening, and thank you for taking the time to reflect on this. Share this video with other people, and maybe get in touch with goldsteinween.com so you can see a little bit more detail. And if you go onto Wandsworth's Living Streets website, you'll find more information, and that will be updated as time goes on. So stay in touch with us, and thank you for listening.